Hey guys, it's Daniel, and this is my episode review of episode 15 of Power Rangers Dino SuperCharge, Wings of Danger. This episode actually contributes a lot to the plot of the entire season, and is jam-packed with a bunch of information. The episode starts out at the base with Zenowing revealing to the Rangers that he actually created the Zords. Zenowing also describes some of his experiences on the planet Sentai 6, revealing that he actually found the Silver Energem there and had an intense battle with Lord Arcanon. During the battle, he actually cut off one of the horns off of Lord Arcanon's shoulder pads, and during this confrontation, the Silver Energem actually bonded with Zenowing, which morphed him into the Silver Ranger. Apparently, Zenowing lost the battle, and Lord Arcanon, using the powers of the Dark Energem, actually created Zenowing's evil half, Doomwing. At the evil base, Doomwing is given a second chance by Lord Arcanon to battle the Rangers and use the power of the Silver Energem. While the Rangers are training together, they hear some sword slashes in the distance, and it ends up being Zenowing, who's very frustrated about the whole Doomwing situation and wants to be in tip-top shape before he faces him. When the Rangers confront him and ask him if he could teach them the prism slash that he was practicing, he ends up acting very mean, very snippy, and basically pushes them away. Zenowing approaches Doomwing, and the Rangers end up following him and attempt to defend Zenowing from Doomwing. Eventually, it's just between Doomwing and Zenowing, and just before Doomwing is about to execute a final strike, Riley blocks the sword with his sword and basically sacrifices his health to protect Zenowing. Before things get worse, Keeper actually appears out of nowhere and teleports all the Rangers back to base. There, we see Riley lying on a stretcher, severely hurt from the attack, and Zenowing once again has this very uptight attitude and says that Riley shouldn't have defended him and what Riley did was foolish. The Rangers are very frustrated with Zenowing's response, and Tyler actually leads a confrontation with Zenowing, saying that Zenowing should be thankful that Riley actually defended him during the attack. When Keeper pulls Zenowing to the side to talk to him as an old friend, Zenowing explains to him that he has this undescribable emotion, and Keeper says that what he's feeling is gratitude. Back at the evil ship, Doomwing has Wrench reanimate old monsters that the Rangers beat before, but because of the fact that Wrench is rushing with the reanimation of these monsters, a lot of them can't speak, which is actually a great cover-up because they don't have to pay the original voice actors to voice the monsters. Towards the prisoner side of the ship, Poisandra passes by Heckle's prison. Heckle makes a deal with Poisandra, saying that if she helps break him out, he'll reveal a secret to her that's quite shocking. While the other Rangers are hanging out in the park questioning Zenowing's motives, Zenowing is back at the base alone with Riley and actually heals Riley with the help of the powers from his sword. While the Rangers are relaxing at the park, they are attacked with 3 of the reanimated monsters. Of course, the Rangers end up defeating all 3. During that battle, Riley awakens, fully healed, rushes out and tells Kendall to tell the other Rangers to meet him in the forest to help out Zenowing. After Zenowing has a confrontation with Doomwing, Lord Arcanon, Snide, and Fury end up appearing, and they chain Zenowing to a tree as Lord Arcanon attempts to put Zenowing back into Doomwing's body with the help of the Dark Energem. Before Lord Arcanon could finish this transformation, he's interrupted by Riley, as well as the other Rangers coming by to help out, and Zenowing actually thanks Riley this time around. Once Lord Arcanon sees the Rangers approaching, he teleports back to base, leaving Doomwing alone to fight against the Rangers. While Riley stays back with Zenowing, the other Rangers hurry to the rock quarry, where Doomwing sends out 5 reanimated monsters, and when Tyler goes to fight Doomwing ends up summoning 3 more reanimated monsters, and Tyler ends up fighting all 3 by himself. Eventually, Zenowing comes back and begins to fight Doomwing. During this heated battle, Zenowing actually takes back the Silver Energem out of Doomwing's sword, and for the first time in the season, he morphs into the Silver Ranger. During this battle between the Silver Ranger and Doomwing, the other Rangers end up defeating the reanimated monsters. And of course, Zenowing ends up defeating Doomwing with his brand new Prism Slash attack, which is pretty cool, by the way, with all the graphics going on and the wings coming out. And just when you think this episode is done progressing the plot forward, we go back to the evil ship, where Poisandra gives Heckle an explosive device that breaks him out of his cell. He ends up wandering around the ship, where he comes across the main cockpit, where he sees Lord Arcanon and Singe having a conversation. Singe ends up giving Lord Arcanon the Dark Energem back because they lost it during the battle, and while they're discussing the Dark Energem, Heckle ends up getting a flashback, and remembers something that he's forgotten for a very long time. In this flashback, we see a good Heckle running away from Lord Arcanon, attempting to protect the Dark Energem. Eventually, Heckle is blasted, he falls, and the Dark Energem is flung far away from him. When he runs to get it, unknowing that if he touches the Dark Energem, he'll become evil or get an evil side to him, he ends up picking up the Energem and transforming into Snide. Lord Arcanon eventually catches up with Heckle, now Snide, and takes the Dark Energem back. After Heckle has his little flashback, he becomes furious and goes to attack Lord Arcanon. Of course, that doesn't work out, and he gets locked up once again with the help of Singe and Fury. At the end of the episode, we get another training scene with the Rangers. This time, Zenowing is much more friendly and trains with Riley, and they make amends. Right off the bat, I think this episode should have definitely been split into 2 parts, or at least have a little bit of the information given to the next episode or the episode before this. We get more information on Zenowing's backstory. The official good Silver Ranger appears in this episode. Doomwing is defeated, and we get more background information with Heckle and Snide. So it's just a lot to think about. This episode was very good, but I really do feel like it was overcrowded with way too much information. While this was a Riley-focused episode, it ended up really intertwining quite well with the main plot, which was this whole conflict with Doomwing and Zenowing. This, in a sense, was also a Zenowing-focused episode as well, which is quite interesting to have 2 characters focused on in one episode, which isn't something I don't think we've gotten from the past episodes I reviewed. Zenowing does really appeal like a, very angry old man, but I'm glad to see that he eventually comes out of his shell and is a much more happy alien by the end of the episode. It was quite random to see Keeper pop out of nowhere and teleport the Rangers from harm, because he really doesn't do that too much, but it was interesting to see nonetheless. Zenowing's backstory with Lord Arcanon is quite interesting. I actually see a lot of similarities with Power Rangers SPD and the whole Commander Doggy Kruger versus Emperor Grum type story. Maybe the writers borrowed from that little SPD plot, but in the end it made it quite interesting to see that there's a connection with Lord Arcanon and Zenowing. It was good to see Doomwing finally defeated. When I watched this episode, I realized how annoying his voice was. I really didn't think I saw too much character development at all with Riley. It seemed like Riley was just sort of used as a prop to make Zenowing realize that the way he was acting wasn't appropriate. Tyler and Shelby's relationship really didn't progress at all this episode, but then again, I wouldn't really expect it to, I guess. I thought it was quite simple how Zenowing got the Silver Energem back from Doomwing. I thought it was kind of random. It was interesting to finally see Heckle's backstory, and I actually found it quite funny that he got Poisandra to help him break out of his cell. And it was cool to get another flashback scene and see that Heckle was indeed good at one point until he touched the Dark Energem. The Dark Energem's common ability, besides just doing evil things, seems to be creating sort of like a yin-yang effect and trapping the good person into the bad person. The Dark Energem's abilities are quite hard to grasp in a way. Even though this episode was quite overstuffed, I do feel like it basically gave me everything that I wanted in a Dino Charge episode that I was complaining about in previous episode reviews. This episode and the Silver Secret episode seemed to really move the plot forward, and it wasn't a filler by any means. So overall, I guess I would give this episode a 4 out of 5. It was entertaining, it gave us a lot of information, it gave Zenowing some character development, it gave Heckle a backstory, Lord Arcanon more of a backstory, Zenowing more of a backstory, and we had more screen time for Riley. If you enjoyed this episode review, please give it a thumbs up, I'd really appreciate it. If you want to see more Dino SuperCharge episode reviews, please click the subscribe button, I'd really appreciate that as well. You guys could follow me on social media at blackandblue572 on Instagram and Twitter. Thank you guys so much for watching. Bye!